My wife blew off our surprise cruise, forgot our anniversary, and compared me to her dead husband, but now I'm going on the trip with her best friend. I've been really hesitant to post this, mostly because I don't want to sound like I'm just venting or looking for pity. But the last few weeks have left me completely confused, and I genuinely don't know if what I did was wrong, or if I'm finally seeing things more clearly than I have in years. My wife and I have been married a little over 3 years. Like most marriages, there hasn't been any major drama in those 3 years, just life, work stress, mismatched schedules, trying to make time for each other when we're both exhausted. But overall, things were good. We weren't perfect, but we weren't distant or angry or facing anything I would have considered serious. She was married before. Her first husband died in a car accident years ago. Obviously, he was a big part of her life, and something I never pried into unless she brought it up. I respected the loss and understood that grief isn't something that just goes away because you move on. I gave her space, and tried not to make her feel like she had to compare the two relationships. This year, our anniversary landed on a weekend, which gave me the perfect opportunity to do something meaningful. I'd been planning a surprise cruise for months. I was coordinating everything behind the scenes, shifting work commitments, contacting her coworker to make sure she got the day off, even looping in her best friend, Sierra, with the logistics so I wouldn't screw anything up. It wasn't some quick, spur-of-the-moment thing. I booked a nice cabin, planned activities, and made sure everything was covered, from transportation to meals. I put actual time into this because I thought it would mean something to her. I wanted it to be a grand experience, something to break up the day-to-day and remind us both why we chose each other in the first place. The morning of our anniversary arrives. I wake up early, make her breakfast, give her a little handwritten card, and tell her to pack a bag. I figured she'd laugh and be excited when she realized what was happening. Instead, she looked at me like I was speaking another language. She literally asked me, "What's the occasion?" That's when I knew she'd forgotten. First gut punch of the day. Still, I reminded her it was our anniversary and explained everything I'd planned, hoping she'd turn around and appreciate the effort. She didn't. She got quiet for a while, then said she already had plans to see her sister that day. I asked if she could reschedule, thinking maybe she just needed a moment to shift gears. Instead, she kind of shut down, said she wasn't feeling up to the trip and that I should have checked with her first. I wasn't mad yet, but I started to get the feeling that maybe I'd misread our entire relationship. I offered to cancel or postpone, still trying to make it work. But then she made a comment that honestly, I haven't been able to get out of my head since. She said I tried too hard to make things special and that her late husband never had to make a big deal out of anniversaries, but she still felt loved every day. That hit different. I didn't say anything right away, but inside, it broke my heart. Not only was she comparing me to her ex, she was measuring me against a ghost, someone who can never disappoint her now, because memory turns everything into a highlight reel. And she was throwing it at me right in the middle of me trying to do something thoughtful. She ended up going to see her sister. I was going to cancel the cruise, not because I was pissed at her yet, but because it was clear she didn't want it. Sierra called, asking how the surprise went, and I told her. She was clearly shocked, said she had no idea my wife would forget or react that way. She even apologized, which she didn't have to, but I could tell she genuinely felt bad. Sierra has always been respectful of our relationship. There are no weird dynamics, just chill vibes. What really pushed me to write this post is what happened a few days after the anniversary. I tried to talk to my wife again, not to rehash the cruise thing, but just to see where her head was at. She barely said anything for a while, then told me she sometimes feels like she's living someone else's version of the relationship. I asked if she was unhappy. She said she didn't know. That was new for me, realizing I was the only one still putting in the effort. Like I was the only one who still cared about whether we were close or drifting apart. Then I just left the room. That night, Sierra reached out again. I guess she could tell I wasn't okay. I told her what happened, and she said something that stuck with me. She said I shouldn't let something I worked so hard for go to waste, and that if I didn't want to go alone, she'd take the trip with me so the money and effort wouldn't be wasted. It wasn't weird and didn't feel like she was hitting on me or crossing lines. It was more like, hey, you shouldn't be the only one who gets screwed over. I thought about it. I was hesitant about whether it would be a bad move, but eventually I said yes. Not out of spite or pettiness, just because I needed space too. I needed a reset, and someone offering me a moment of human kindness after everything fell apart meant more than I expected. So, I went. My wife didn't stop me, didn't ask me not to go, didn't say much at all. I don't know what happens now. I'm not sure if this is the beginning of things getting worse, or if it's what finally makes everything make sense again. But, for the first time, I honestly don't feel guilty for doing something for myself. She forgot our anniversary, rejected me, compared me to her dead husband, and now she's distant. Meanwhile, the only person who showed up and supported me was her best friend. I know how that sounds, but it's the truth. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. Just got back from the cruise, and honestly, I don't know what headspace I'm in right now. I thought going would help clear my head, or at least give me some distance to figure out what's going on in my marriage. But, I feel more stuck than before. I've gone over everything 100 times in my head, and I still don't get how things got to this point. Like, I keep trying to find the spot where I messed up so badly that it justifies how cold my wife has been. But I don't see it. She never acknowledged the fact that I left, acted like she didn't care. No call before I boarded, no texts while I was there. And yeah, she definitely knew Sierra came with me. I told her straight up before I left because I wasn't going to sneak around or lie. There wasn't anything to hide. I figured she deserved that honesty, even if she didn't appreciate the gesture when it was meant for her. When I got back from the cruise, I expected tension, awkward silence, maybe even some cold disdain. But I wasn't expecting the way she was just waiting for me. She was sitting in the living room like she'd been there for a while. She wasn't on her phone, wasn't watching TV, just sitting. It was one of those moments where you feel the shift in the air before a word is even spoken. I knew something was coming. She didn't even say hi, just looked up and asked, "Did you enjoy your little getaway with Sierra?" I explained how I planned it all for us, and I wasn't getting a refund, only a change of date. How Sierra only stepped in when she backed out and everything was already paid for. I wasn't going to let all that go to waste. Not after the time and effort I put into it. I also tried talking to her, and she didn't care. She didn't even spend our anniversary with me. She just left with her sister. She said I was being vindictive. That I used Sierra to make a point. That I knew exactly how it would look, and I did it anyway. I tried to stay calm. I told her Sierra offered to go because she felt bad. We weren't even in the same cabin. And we didn't share much beyond some dinners, and some conversation about what was going on in the marriage. And I said yes because, at that point, I felt completely rejected, not just as a husband, but as someone who had genuinely tried. Then she said she couldn't trust either of us anymore, that I'd blindsided her. I reminded her that she was the one who forgot our anniversary, that she walked out of the house that morning like it was any other day. That I wasn't choosing Sierra over her, she just wasn't there. I asked her point blank, "Do you even want to be married anymore?" She didn't answer, just stood there, looked at the floor for a few seconds, then got up and left the room. I heard her packing a bag upstairs. 10 minutes later, she came down with her purse, a backpack, and her keys. Said she was going to her sister's and needed space. Mutual friends have stayed distant. Some still like my posts here and there, but no one's reached out. No one's asking. Everyone's trying to stay neutral, which is their choice. But it's hard not to feel like the villain when everyone goes silent at the same time. The weirdest part is how fast she shut everything down. There was no attempt to talk things through. No questions about what actually happened on the cruise. No acknowledgement of the fact that she forgot one of the most basic things in a marriage, our anniversary, and that I still tried to make it special. That I didn't even get mad when she bailed. I gave her space. I tried to talk like an adult. Instead, I'm the bad guy for not wasting money. Sierra texted me, said she got a long text from my wife telling her to lose her number, that she crossed a line, that she should have known better, and that she doesn't know how to respect boundaries. Sierra showed me the message. It was a wall of text. Part of it was a bunch of vague emotional stuff. Other parts were just accusations, like Sierra had wanted to go on the trip all along, like I'd encouraged her, like she had an agenda. None of that's true. Sierra has been nothing but supportive. If anything, she was asking before the cruise if I was sure, making it clear she didn't want things to get weird. And during the trip, she was respectful the entire time. Separate rooms, no drunken moments, no talks under the stars. It was just two people trying not to let something perfectly good go to waste. I told Sierra not to take it personally, but I can tell it's hurting her. Her and my wife have been best friends since college. They've been through stuff together that I wasn't even around for. And now, in a week, that's gone. Not over anything crazy, but because Sierra felt bad for me. She's not the type to play those games. She helped because I needed it, that's all. That sucks, and I don't know what the next step is. I don't even know if I want to try to fix this. I'm starting to feel like the only person who actually cared was me. It wasn't like I was trying to be spiteful. The cruise was already off, and I wasn't going to waste everything I'd worked for just because my wife decided to skip it. And it's not like I asked Sierra to come along as some kind of weird venting thing. She offered. She was the only one who even checked on me, after how things went down that morning. Honestly, if she hadn't said anything, I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have stayed home, stewing in my thoughts, canceling everything, eating the cost, and feeling worse. So, yeah, I said yes. We went, and no, nothing happened, not even close. And the whole vibe was more about decompressing than anything else. I was still mentally wrecked from how my wife reacted. And Sierra could see it, just let me vent when I needed to. And honestly, that kind of support felt like a lifeline at that point. I know some people will say I should have canceled the trip and stayed home. That going with her best friend was a dumb idea. But when you're in that situation, when you've already been emotionally slapped in the face, and then someone says, "Hey, don't let this go to waste," it's hard not to listen. Especially when that person has been more emotionally available to you than your own spouse. I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how it happened. And now I'm stuck in this limbo where I feel like I'm the bad guy. Even though I don't think I did anything to deserve that title. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't even raise my voice when she forgot our anniversary and compared me to someone who isn't even here anymore. I tried to talk like an adult, and got dismissed like I was overreacting. So, yeah, I took the trip, and the only person who supported me was Sierra. I get that this whole situation is messy. I'm not stupid. I know how appearances work, but I'm also not going to stand here and pretend I'm some villain who orchestrated all of this to get close to my wife's best friend. That's not how it went down, not even close. It was just me feeling like I was the only one still trying, and Sierra telling me, "You don't deserve to be alone in this." Sierra hasn't said much since all this. I think she's feeling the weight of it all now too. Probably getting more pressure from my wife, maybe they're mutual friends. I wouldn't be surprised if they start painting her as a homewrecker, which is really unfair because she only stepped in when no one else did. She wasn't trying to insert herself into our marriage. She just didn't want to see me drown. I don't know when my wife will finally say something or if she's just going to keep pretending I don't exist until she decides it's over for good. All I know is the silence is worse than anything she could say out loud. And I don't think I can stay in it much longer without breaking. I'll write another update soon once things move again. I just needed to get this off my chest because it was eating me up inside. Update 2. It's been almost 2 weeks since my wife left the house, and I haven't heard a word from her. Not a single call, not even a short text to say she's okay or where we stand. She just vanished. I know she's still staying at her sister's because I saw her car parked there one day when I drove by, but that's it. Her sister blocked me after I tried texting her to at least see if my wife was alright. I've been trying to stay calm through all of this, but it's wearing me down. I can't talk to anyone without it somehow turning into a mess. We have mutual friends who used to be neutral people we hung out with together, but now it's obvious some of them have picked sides. A couple people unfollowed me on social media. One guy I've been close to since college didn't respond when I texted him to grab a drink. It's like I've done something terrible and I didn't even realize it. Then I started hearing bits and pieces through other people. Apparently, she's telling some of them that I emotionally manipulated her, made her feel like she was living someone else's life, and used Sierra to make a point or punish her. One person even told me she said, he planned the trip just so he could be the perfect husband in public while isolating her in private. None of that makes sense, and I feel like no one is stopping to ask if maybe things aren't as black and white as she's painting them. I never tried to replace her ex or asked her to pretend that part of her life didn't exist. I've walked on eggshells with that for years out of respect. Never made a scene when she got distant around his birthday. Never complained when she put his pictures back up certain weeks. I just gave her that space because I understood grief doesn't follow a script. I just wanted to have a nice anniversary with my wife, something light, something happy, something for us. And now, somehow, that's become proof that I was manipulating her. And Sierra, man, I feel for her too. She didn't do anything wrong. She helped me with the planning because she wanted to make my wife feel special. That's it, not hit on me. If she'd wanted to make a move, she would have been all over me way before. However, she helped me plan everything, like the activities my wife would enjoy the most. Since I got back, Sierra's been keeping her distance. She's been distant, but still texts me every few days. That's been tough because if there's anyone who shouldn't feel guilty in this mess, it's her. I told her that straight up, that none of this was her fault, that I appreciated her for being one of the only people who actually acted like I mattered these past few weeks. Truth is, she's been the only person I've been able to talk to without my words getting twisted. I haven't made any moves yet and I haven't tried reaching out to her sister, or surprising her at work, or anything like that. I figured maybe she needed space and time. But now, after 2 weeks of radio silence and hearing what she's been saying to people, I'm not sure what I'm waiting for anymore. If she genuinely believed I was manipulating her or that Sierra and I had something going on, why not just say it to my face? Why run this silent campaign behind the scenes? I think what's getting to me now isn't even the cruise itself, it's all the stuff that came after. I haven't packed, haven't touched any of her stuff. It's all still here, like part of me is waiting for her to just walk back through the door. But more and more, I'm starting to question if this relationship was already dying before this even happened. Maybe I just didn't want to admit it. Maybe I was too focused on making things work to see how far gone they already were. I'm not perfect, I know that. Maybe I did try too hard to make the anniversary special. Maybe I misread the situation. Maybe I should have asked instead of planning a surprise. But I wasn't cruel. I didn't betray her. I didn't humiliate her. And I definitely didn't do any of this to prove a point. But she did, and now I'm the bad guy. I've been thinking about contacting a lawyer, just to know what my rights are if she's actually planning on divorce. It feels harsh, but I also feel like I've been left hanging long enough. Right now, the person I trusted most sees me as the enemy, and the only one who had my back is now being punished for it too. So, yeah, I'm starting to let go. And if this is how she chooses to end things, by disappearing and trashing my name with everyone we know, I guess that tells me everything I need to know. Update 3. I'm writing this from a hotel. It's just where I ended up after everything that happened. It's quiet, I can think. It's not one of those times where I feel broken down. It's more like I finally stopped waiting for something that isn't going to happen. Yesterday, I got served with divorce papers. After she left to stay with her sister, there was total radio silence. No texts, no calls. I wasn't going to chase someone who clearly didn't want to be contacted. And trust me, I tried enough in the beginning, but she cut off every avenue I could have used to reach her. Blocked me on everything. Her sister did too. Her friends weren't saying anything. People keep saying, well, grief is complicated. Sure, I get that. But at what point does it stop being grief and become an excuse to treat someone like a stand-in? I didn't sign up to be someone's emotional backup plan. I didn't get married to be compared to a ghost. And I definitely didn't pour months of work into a vacation just to be told I was trying too hard. I haven't heard from Sierra since the papers came. I think she's trying to give me space, which I appreciate. I don't even know how I feel about any of it yet. I'm not looking for anything. I just want to breathe. My wife made her choice. She didn't want therapy, didn't want to fight for the marriage, didn't want a single real conversation. She just wanted out, and if I'm honest, this whole thing was probably over long before the cruise even set sail. It was just that situation that showed me how far gone things actually were. And now that it's official, I'm not going to keep holding on to something I was the only one fighting for. This hotel room is temporary, just a place to pause before I figure out what's next. I'll go back to the house in a couple of days to get my things, and start sorting out the legal stuff. I'm not going to drag it out. I don't need revenge. I don't need some dramatic legal battle. I just want to move on. I loved her. I really did. But I can't keep loving someone who stopped loving me, or maybe never did. Update 4. I know this update is several years late, but last time I was here, I was in a pretty bad place mentally, and I kind of spiraled. There wasn't much to tell either, just how I was messing up my life. The divorce was pretty standard. Since the house was hers, I just took my stuff and left. After that, I started drinking more than I'd like to admit, and it got pretty bad. But if I'm writing here, it's basically because of Sierra, who has been a really good friend to me through all of this. Such a good friend that I ended up being the best man at her wedding. Although, to be fair, she ended up with one of my friends. But yeah, she was there for me during my darkest moments and got me help. That's actually how she met my friend, since he was part of the team of people she got together to help me get through it. I've been sober for 4 years now, and when they had their wedding a few months ago, it was a few days after my sobriety anniversary, so I celebrated by having water. Although I was less restrained with other things like cake and basically anything sweet. I've also been seeing someone for about 2 years now. It's a pretty normal relationship compared to the one I had with my ex. Not that I compare them because I still think about her, but because of how I feel now and how I felt then. This is how a relationship should feel, something I've been working on in therapy this whole time. Both to resolve some things from my previous relationship and my addiction problem. On other somewhat depressing matters, about 2 years ago my ex-sister-in-law unblocked me to send a message. It was a message I never would have expected, especially after everything that happened. It was partly an apology and partly an explanation and update about my ex. After my ex lived with her for a few months due to a deep depression that caused her to lose her job, she finally got her help. Or rather, she got her the right help. Up until that point nothing was working. She told me that she was still messed up about her deceased ex and that it kept dragging her deeper and deeper. She apologized because, for years, she seemed okay, at least on the surface, while she was with me. But after the divorce she crashed again, and she kept falling harder. Unlike me, she didn't turn to addiction, but she was found by her sister after taking a lot of pills. After that, she was taken to a center for more intensive care, because the care she'd received so far hadn't been enough, for obvious reasons. Among other things she told me, was that I shouldn't feel bad, because I did everything I could. She couldn't get out of this on her own. She needed a lot of help that she didn't know how to ask for. I never talked to her sister again, and I don't know what's become of her life. It was around the time I was starting a new relationship, and I knew all too well what it was like to have a partner haunted by a past, a ghost. But I hope she's doing better and has recovered. I don't hold any resentment. I don't think that's healthy. Sierra knows all about this, she's the first person I told. Her reaction has also been to stay away from her former friend. I don't want you to think this is a sad ending, not at all. A lot of good things have happened in my life since then, and I'm much better now than when it all started. But I wanted to give you the whole picture.